Hello class, this is your instructor Ron Santos, and today we'll be using Excel as a grade calculator so that we can calculate your grade, so you'll be able to calculate for grade for this class or any class. And I want to start with the grading rubric from your syllabus, class syllabus. So we have class participation, 10%, Excel lab assignments, 10%, homework assignments, 20%, quizzes, there's a total of 8 of them for 10%, and exams, total of 5 and 50% of your grade. This is a weighted average. And what we'll be using is down here in this grade platform. So let's start by looking at what your average grade would be. Each cell here, average grade, we'll be looking at, we'll be calculating your average grade for each part of your grade. And at the end, we'll come up with your final raw points grade. So let's now out with something easier. Let's start with the homework. So let's say we are in week 3 and you have 3 weeks worth of assignments. So let's look in, we'll see what we would do for a formula. We would put in, click in, always equals. And I'm going to do it incorrectly first so you can see what goes on. So let's say you've got a 75 for each homework you did. Okay, so we would put in 75 plus 75 plus 75 divided by 3, which should come up to an average of 75. But the way it's placed in here, it's not correct. So let's put it in, and it comes out to 175. And you know that's not correct because it should be 75. And the reason it's not correct is because of the order of operations. You may have seen this before, order of operations. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. It's the order in which we use our mathematics. So parentheses are calculated first, then exponents, square roots or squared numbers, multiplication, which is addressed with the star key. That's what we use for multiplication. Then division, then addition, then subtraction. They should be in that order. And if we look at our box, we see we have addition and then division. That's why it didn't come up first. So we were adding and then dividing, so the answer didn't come up correct. In order for it to be correct, what we need to do is put these 3 items in parentheses. Once these 3 items are in parentheses, or 3 homework, or 3 chapters, then it'll be in correct order. We'll have our parentheses, and then we'll do division. So if I enter, it should come up to 75. So that would be your average grade. And let's put in some more average grades. Let's say your quizzes, you've got an 80, but that doesn't work. You've got to put in the equal sign, open parentheses. So you've got an 80 plus a 50 plus 65, close parentheses, and you always divide by the number of grades that are in here. There's 3 different chapters, 3 different grades, divided by 3. Okay, enter, and now you have your average grade. Okay, your lab, let's say you've done all of your labs, so you have equals, always place equals in first, open parentheses, 100 plus 100 plus 100, close the parentheses, divided by 3, and enter. And you have 100% grade for your lab. Class participation consists of your discussion boards and making sure that your work is done on time. So let's say in your class participation, we've only had 1 discussion board, so that's going to equal your 100. and you've done things on time, so you can just put in the 100 and you get the full class participation. You took the exam and you received an 80 because there's only been one exam so far. Okay, so here is your grades, the average grades that are put in. Now underneath, I will highlight this. And let's put a thick border on the bottom. Now underneath, what I've done is we're going to calculate now to raw points. Okay, so in raw points, what happens is your grade will equal your 100 class participation, or 100%, times, it's worth 10% of your grade, enter, and you'll see you get 10 raw points. You do this down the line, so it's going to equals, always put equals in first, your lab, times the 10% weighted, and that gives you your 10 raw points. For your homework, it equals your grade of 75 times the 20%, and it's 15 raw points. Your quiz equals your grade, your average grade, times the percentage, and finally your exam equals your grade times your percentage, and that gives you 40 raw points. Under the grade here, we'll add them up, equals SUM, open parentheses, we're adding them all up, close parentheses, enter, and this is your grade, 81.5. If you come up into the rubric here and you look up 81.5 or 82, you would have a B minus. And this should help you in other homework that we're doing as well. You know, you're remembering the multiplication keys. If you click in, if you forget a formula, you click in the amount, and here's your formula up here in the formula bar. Okay? Click in twice, it'll show you what you're multiplying. You're multiplying your average grade times your weight. And again, this should help you. You can set this up in Excel. I'm not going to set it up for you in Excel. I'd like you to do it. Give yourself some practice in Excel. And with this, you'll be able to judge all your grades, how you're doing in the class. If we look into our quiz and we say, okay, we're going to drop the lowest grade, we would take out the 50 because I dropped the lowest grade for quizzes and exams overall. There's only 2 grades in there, so you have to change this to 2. And now instead of 6.5, you would have a 7.3 or an 82.3, which would bring you up to a B. Just remember always that you have to change the amount of the division piece. And you can set this up in many different ways. I just set it up in this format because this will help you with other homework problems with weighted average that you'll be doing. I hope this helps out. If there's any questions, you can always send me an email. And